Hello, this is Ken Ferrie with this week's Boots in the Field report. This week, a lot of growers have passed the finish line for harvest. With the stretch of good weather, many of the fall jobs are mopped up as well. The research team has finished the plot harvest this week and are hard at putting in next year's plots, dealing with tillage and strip till and fertility and such. Many growers are commenting on how hard the fall tillage is pulling in some areas. They're burning up points, shear bolts, and diesel fuel. As the crew was putting in strip till and tillage plots this week, I was the parts runner. I went to 3 different places to find out they were out of grade 5 shear bolts. With it pulling hard, you guys in the vertical till program remember the golden rule. You need full width shatter, meaning you'll need to add ballast to the tractor and shift down if need be. In some cases, you may need to flip the outside shanks on your 7-shank rippers, make them 5 shanks to get the job done. This week we got results from 3 more fixed flex plots. One down in Moultrie County had 34 hybrids in it. The 22,000 planted block averaged 208 bushel, and that ranged from 238 to 184. In the 36,000 block, yields averaged 243, and that ranged from 262 to 217. A second plot from Milford had 28 hybrids. The 24,000 planted block averaged 251, with the range of 274 to 246. 274 bushel on 24,000 planted. What would Grandpa think of that? The 36,000 planted block averaged 265, and it ranged from 289 to 227. Our third came in from Rhinebeck, Iowa. This was a waxy corn plot, planted May 10th. This plot had 12 waxy hybrids in it. The 24,000 block averaged 243, and that ranged from 259 to 232. The 36,000 block averaged 284, and that ran from 301 bushel to 216, so almost a 100 bushel swing there. The maturity ranged from 109 to 114 in these hybrids. 109-day hybrid was the winner of the plot. All this data will be scrutinized along with plant pictures and the hand harvest data many of you will be helping with on November 29th. In case you're wondering, yes, there still is room for more helpers. The data will help you better place hybrids to fit your soils and your practices. I've had calls on what the advantage would be to strip till through the covers that you have planted. This is being triggered by, I think, great weather and farmers are looking for something to do, and some disappointment in yields on our cover crop fields this year. Based on our side-by-side plots, strip tilling through covers has helped our corn yields by reducing some of the allopathic issues and carbon penalty issues. It does allow you to let the covers grow longer, and while it does reduce some of the issues, it doesn't completely remove them. Stripping ahead of soybeans has some of the same benefits. Beans get out of the ground faster and are not as affected by the carbon penalty of decomposing cover crop. The decision needs to be weighed by what the alternative plan was. If the plan was to plant narrow row beans and you're now switching to wide row beans, there are a couple things you need to think about. First, in the yield, our past studies, the narrow row beans tend to yield more than the wide row beans. This yield gain is higher in dry years when the 30-inch rows have trouble closing. Like this year, when the narrow row beans were outdoing wide row beans by 6 to 8 bushel in our side-by-side trials. Second, and maybe more important, is weed control. Due to prolonged sunlight reaching the ground, our wide row beans tend to have late breaks in water hemp. When these water hemp break, many times it's too late to fix it with a herbicide because we're in the mid-R stages on the beans, especially if we planted them early. You're left with possible cultivation, weed zapping, or walking the weeds out. Now, if you're already in 30-inch rows and you're managing the weeds, this is a non-issue. But if this is your first time in 30-inch rows, and maybe on top of that you're growing non-GMO beans, please take caution. Have a long talk with your chemical supplier on how you're going to manage these weeds. Cover crop will help with the winter annuals, but not the late-breaking water hemp. This year, cover crops and dry weather locked up the beans for 3 to 4 weeks, which led to a lot of our weed issues in 30-inch rows. Again, strip tilling through the covers will help some, but will not eliminate all the issues. I am seeing a lot of nice strip till fields. This stretch of weather has created a window to create some of the nicest strips we've seen in a while. This will be a big plus for next spring. As this year is coming to an end and we look back on how it went, I think we have a lot to be thankful for. I know some areas aren't as fortunate. The summer drought dinged yields hard. But with good prices with insurance, some of those unraised bushels may be your most profitable ones. I know some growers were expecting more, even though yields may have been in the top 5 ever raised. I do think we need to be realistic with our yield goals when we experience weather patterns like this year. Remember the outcome of 2012's weather pattern. I think we all have a lot to be thankful for this Thanksgiving. So set your farming worries aside this Thanksgiving and enjoy your family, a good meal, maybe a football game or two. You earned it. Don't forget to get signed up for Beyond the Basic webinar, as well as the Winter College. We here at Crop Tech would like to thank all of you for letting us be part of your farming operation. We appreciate your loyalty and don't take it for granted. We know we must earn it every day. Have a happy Thanksgiving. We'll see many of you on the 29th. To stay up to date, check out our website at croptechinc.com and subscribe to our podcast, Boots in the Field Report. Keep her safe, keep her moving.